In today's video, I'm basically going to throw things into a glass of water and then try to make a beautiful image from it. Wish me luck. Hi everyone, thank you for joining me. We are now well into week 8 of lockdown, although with some light at the end of the tunnel, as I mentioned in my previous video. And I've been out for a couple of early morning walks this week, and even managed to take a few pictures with my phone while I was walking. And I'm hopeful that it won't be too long, fingers crossed, before I'm actually able to get out and about and do some landscape photography. But for today, I'm back inside trying out another technique in photography that I've been meaning to try, or I've been wanting to try basically for a few weeks now, but I wasn't able to do it because I was missing some critical equipment. This technique typically requires the use of an off-camera flash. Now I have a flash gun, but what I didn't have was a way of triggering it off camera without using the flash on the camera to do it, which was going to kind of ruin the effect. But I've just actually bought a remote flash trigger system, so I can now have off-camera flash, and that means I can have a go at doing some water splash photography. So the idea behind this is I'm going to have a glass full of water, I'm going to drop something into it and then try and capture the splash as the water sort of comes up and over the top. Now it's going to be dreadfully messy, there's going to be water everywhere, and timing is going to be critical. And it's actually the flash that makes all of this work. So before I get set up, let me just talk around what I'm actually going to be using for the shoot, and what the principle behind this as I understand it. For my glass, I have a martini glass, a cocktail glass, a martini glass. I call it a martini glass, which I thought was quite an attractive looking glass. That's going to be full of water, and then I'm going to drop something into it. And what I'm going to drop into it is, let's find it here, an olive on a cocktail stick. I'm going to put the two of them together, and I'm going to use that to drop into the glass. Now I've chosen to do this rather than certain other things that I might have chosen for two reasons. One is it's an olive, and therefore it kind of goes well with a sort of martini glass. It's a good match. The second thing is, if I mess up and end up dropping this on the edge of the glass instead of in the middle of the glass on the water, it's not going to break the glass because it's a glass, not a plastic glass. So that's going to be my subject for dropping in. So the principle behind this is that we use the flash to freeze motion, and that means that I want a fairly short flash duration. Now I'm not an expert in flash photography by any means, in fact I don't think I've ever really done it before this lockdown period. So here's my understanding of it. What I'm going to be doing is setting the exposure on my camera in such a way that I have no ambient light coming in. It's going to be completely dark, and I'm going to do that by setting probably around f11 typically, and I'm going to use 1/200th of a second. I've been trying to confirm the sync speed, what they call the flash sync speed for my camera, and it's a bit confusing. I think it's 1/250th of a second, but 1/200th of a second should do, providing that gives me a nice dark image without the flash. Then I'm going to use the flash to illuminate the scene, and basically, as I understand this, at full power the flash is on at full power for a certain amount of time. As you reduce power on the flash, it's on for less and less time. So although I won't be changing the shutter speed or the exposure time on the camera, by reducing the flash power I will effectively be reducing the amount of time that light is actually hitting the sensor, thereby giving me a much, in some cases, much faster shutter speed. Now, I'm not 100% sure about the specs on this flash, but I believe at full power it's roughly about 1/300th of a second. If I get down to like 1/32nd power, then I think it's something like about 8 or 8 and at 1. I think it's something like about 1/8000th of a second or 1/8500th of a second. So that's pretty fast, and that should enable me to capture, you know, the water spraying up. Challenges in this are going to be getting the setup right, getting the drop height right, and of course getting the timing right to capture the splash. Okay, so it's time to get set up now. I'm going to drag out a little picnic table because I don't want to be working with flying water close to my computer, so I don't want to use my desk or the little cupboard by my desk. And then I've got to work out what I'm doing in my background and how I'm going to position the flash and so on. So it's going to take me a little while to do it, and I can't really film it because it's such a confined space. It's going to be really, really difficult. But I should say, I'm really hoping to get just a single image here, because I'm not going to be changing and trying lots of different compositions. Really all I'm going to be doing is trying to get the timing right, maybe trying different flash powers and possibly trying different background colours, white or black, to see which one works the best. So it's really just going to be a single image at the end of this, but hopefully it'll be one that I'm happy with. Right, now let's go and get set up. Okay, let's talk about my setup. I've got this little picnic table here, which is quite low down, probably a bit lower than I would have preferred, but that's okay. I would have ideally liked to be able to cover it completely in something plain white and preferably shiny, but I haven't got anything. So all I've done at the minute is I've laid out some paper on the top, and then immediately under and kind of just behind my glass I have a little piece of plastic which is going to give me a slightly shiny surface. I might move it back a little bit. Now that's probably going to mean I'm going to have to do a bit of post-processing work, maybe to take out any sort of odd lines in the surrounding area, but we'll see. I've also got a white background, which may or may not be a good idea. I don't know at this point. Oh. I've got my martini glass in place, and I've got my flash mounted on a tripod, and it's fairly close to the glass, though I suspect I might have to get closer. So that's my basic setup. I haven't got any water in the glass yet. I haven't got ready to drop anything, and in fact at the moment the flash isn't even turned on. So the first thing I'm going to do is make sure that I can get my glass in focus and framed correctly. This is going to be really bad for my poor old legs. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check that my exposure without the flash is completely dark. I've set my exposure at 1/200th of a second, and I'm just going to take a shot, and that's completely black, and that's what I want because I don't want any ambient lights, because what I want is the flash to control just how much light comes into the camera, and that will also control the actual exposure time, which should hopefully let me freeze the action. Okay, 1/16th power. Okay, that's pretty bright. It's blowing out a lot of highlights. I think I'm going to bring that down to 1/32nd power. 1/32nd power, let's give that a go. Okay, that's still blowing out some highlights and still putting quite a lot of detail in the background. I think the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try and get rid of some of the highlights. There's like a little diffuser that pops out on the flash. I'm going to try and putting that on. Okay, here we go. Yeah, that's looking a lot better. There's still a lot of detail in the background that I'm not too keen on. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put some water in and see if that does anything to the exposure. Let's give that a go. If anything, what that's done is actually helped knock out some of the blown highlights. Shame about that background. I think I might put some white paper behind there to see if I can smooth the background out a little bit. Okay, we'll have to see. Now, what it comes down to is two things. How high do I need to drop my subject from, and how do I time my shutter release? So I'm going to turn live view off because that's going to, otherwise if that's going to delay my shutter release. I've got it on single shot. I have my olive. I have it poised, and I'm going to do a drop and see what happens. Okay, I fired too early. And there wasn't much of a splash. So I'm going to go higher. Okay, definitely got a splash there. I mean, actually, for the second shot, that's not bad. We'll do some more. Fired too early. I think I need to rethink one part of this. I think having it on white isn't working. I think it needs to go on black. So time for a little change around somehow. Okay, really awkward position, but I've put my waterproof jacket, which is black, on the table now. Swapped the background to black. I've also tried to move the background a bit further away. And I'm going to angle the flash a little bit more sort of towards the camera, maybe, not too much but a little bit, to try and take the background out, and I'm hoping on black it might work a little better. Okay, that's pretty dark. I think the flash needs to be angled up a little bit more. That way hopefully it's not going to illuminate too much of the bottom. Bring out the details. Yeah, it's a bit underexposed. Flash needs to angle up a bit more. Okay, time to top up the water and do some dropping. Yeah, I think that's looking better. Ooh, that was a big splash. Yeah, I think that's looking a lot better actually with the dark. Yeah, I think that's looking pretty good now. And it's just a case of taking lots of shots and seeing what we get. That was a lot of fun, and with any luck I've got one image, which was all I was aiming for, if you remember. So if I have, you'll already have seen it. If I've failed, well, I guess you'll either have seen the best attempt I could manage, or maybe this video won't come out. I don't know. I think I've got at least one that's at least worth sharing. It may not be a masterpiece. Anyway, I've got to clean up now because there's water all over the place. And before I do that, I just wanted to say that I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did and you're not already a subscriber, then don't forget about hitting that subscribe button. And of course, I'd much appreciate a like, hitting that thumbs up button, giving it a share on social media, and of course, leave me a comment, let me know what you think. And as always, I really appreciate you taking the time to watch, so thank you very much. And until the next video, bye.